wants to hide their IP addresses. So first of all, we will discuss whether these two property are being preserved over the over the normal internet communication or not. Then we will investigate why these two properties are really required. Now, if we look at our normal TCP/IP protocol communication, then we know that in TCP/IP protocol, the entire communication is based upon IP address and port number. Whenever a sender or a user wants to access some services, then he prepare a request message and includes their IP address and port number. We can define it as a source IP address and source port number, and he also includes service provider's IP address and port number. Along with these information, he sends a request data. This request data consists of the information which a user is requesting from the service provider. Now, this request will transfer through the internet via different service provider and will reach to the service provider. Now, the responsibility of service provider is based upon the request. Either he can reply back or he can deny. If he wants to reply back, he add the reply message, the reply data, and add the user's IP address and its own IP address as well as their port number, and again reply is forwarded to the senders. Now, if you observe that the entire communication goes via different service provider and reach to the server. Now here service provider knows the IP address of the users. He knows that from this IP address the request is coming, as well as all the intermediary knows who is getting this request and forwarding. They knows that these two IP address are performing the communication. Now, if anyone is sitting in the either on the service provider side or in the intermediary node, he can easily identify the identity of the user or the identity of the person who is sending the request. From this communication, we can easily conclude that the user is not anonymous with respect to service provider and the person who is who is in the middle. Now, the concept of darknet was created on the idea of the user should get anonymity over the internet. So what is the darknet? It is an overlay network within the internet which is created over the TCP/IP layer protocol. Means this network exists itself on the TCP/IP layer protocol, and that can be accessed using a specific set of software. Means to access this network, you will require a specific software, as well as you will also require a configuration, means a set of particular settings in order to access this network, as well as some set of some authorization mechanism. With all these settings, you can access this network over the TCP/IP layer protocol itself. Now, what is the dark web? All those websites which are accessed by using dark net are considered are called as a dark web. Now, the question is why we need an anonymous communication, why we need an anonymous services. So the concept of darknet was started from 1970s itself. In that time, the darknet was a very common term. This was used parallelly with the mainstream internet, which at that time it was called as ARPANET. So all those content which was not in the part of ARPANET was considered as a darknet. But later, a project has been started by US Department of Defense. Their goal was they wants to access the internet so that the the users should be anonymized and their entire communication should be encrypted during the communication. So this goal could not successful, but later many research people has started taking up this idea, and they have provided multiple reasoning that the dark net is really required for different kind of activities, where during the communication a user is required the properties of anonymity. Let us discuss what are the reasons that has been argued by the researchers. They have argued that over the internet our all search are being recorded. Like whenever we search the internet, then service provider records everything over the internet. For this, they set up a different kind of values like cookies information, session information, or different kind of tracking information, using which they can keep track of users behavior, users browsing pattern. Also, all these informations collected from users time to time, um, these informations are used by different service provider for their monetary purposes. The service provider also keeps surveillance upon our behavior. They know that how much time we spend upon the internet. They know our browsing pattern. They know which websites are visiting. So all these informations they collectively collect and uses it for different their financial gain. Now, these were the privacy related issues which motivated the concept of darknet. Now, what are the anonymity related problems? Like some argument has been given, like if you wants to search or you wants to access a sensitive website which have been blocked within your territory, then there should be some mechanism using which those websites can be accessed. And like if a user who is a journalist and he wants to publish a local news, or he wants to keep a different viewpoints, then there should be some mechanism using which different opinion can be posted over the internet. Or the need of human rights wings. Many of the human rights wings wants to communicate, wants to share some information, but they don't want to reveal their identity. Or law enforcement officers, they wants to search something without revealing their IP addresses. So all these reasons of privacy and anonymity that have been argued by the researchers, that due to these cause, there should be a network, there should be a facility over which um, the internet communication can be established, and a user can get the maximum level of privacy and the complete anonymity. So based upon this idea, different concept of darknet have been proposed, like using the Tor, one can create and access the darknet, or the concept of freenet or I2P or John Donne. All these are the examples using which darknet and dark web can be created. I am taking the example of the most popular one, that is Tor. The full form of Tor is the onion router. This is the one of the most popular example that is used by the people in order to get the in order to access the darknet as well as dark web services. This project was started in 1990s, and it consists of multiple terms and definitions. Like it consists of a Tor browser, the Onion Router browser, which is also known as Onion Proxy or OP. Now, it also consists of a set of Onion routers uh, and a set of dark websites. Dark websites is also known as anonymous services, dark web, or hidden services, and dark web search engines. With all these definitions, with all these terms, a dark web is being created. First of all, we will discuss how this network work. Then later, we will discuss what are the problem, what are the cyber threats that exist because of this dark web. Now, let us start. What is the Tor project? So the goal of this project was there should be a network which can provide the maximum level of privacy and the complete set of anonymity. Their intention was, when a user is transferring any data to the internet, this data should be routed, this data should be forwarded um, in a completely encrypted way, so that no one who is sitting in the middle of this communication can identify which two people are performing the communication. So, as I told, the complete structure of darknet consists of multiple terms. Let us discuss one by one what is the role of all these terms, and then we will see how this data is transferred over this darknet. So, first of all, it consists of a browser. This browser is known as a Tor browser. This is a modified Mozilla Firefox, created by the modification of a Firefox browser. It has a Tor launcher, using which we can launch a browser and can access the darknet. Now, for the communication, it uses a HTTPS based connection. All the traffics are transferred using a HTTPS based protocol, and it is worth to note that all the traffics are forwarded using this browser in a Tor network. One of the important property of this browser is, whenever we terminate the session, whenever we close the browser, it deletes all our private data related to the browsing. For example, it deleted our session information, it deleted our cookies information, as well as our browsing history. So whenever next time this user visit the same website again, then the website owner, the service provider, cannot identify who was the real user. So because of the termination of the session information, browsing history, the browser ensures the maximum level of privacy. Similarly, based upon the traffic that is being forwarded from the browser to the Tor network, it also ensures anonymity. Now, as I told earlier, this browser is also known as Onion Proxy. So whenever we download this browser, at first time during the execution, it also download the list of Onion routers from a distributed directory server. What is the directory server? These are the nodes which consist of the list of Onion routers which are being used to forward the Tor traffics. So this Onion router can have different role, and based upon the roles and responsibility, they have been classified as a entry node, exit node, and a relay node. Uh, the the data which is being transferred from the browser, that will forwarded through all these entry node, exit node, and relay node within the Tor network. This browser is available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, as well as this is also available for our Android mobile. Now, the second term was onion routers. What is this? Uh, Onion router is any computer system, any our laptop that has a special set of software which is running over that system. Whenever that system, that computer receives any request, any data regarding the Tor network, this data will be forwarded to the next node as defined in the data request. So these are not a router, these are basically a special node which are working like a router, working like a intermediary node, which are getting the request and forwarding to the another node using a TLS connection. Um, these onion routers creates an overlay network. What is the meaning of overlay network? This network is created on the top of the TCP IP layer protocol. So in order to transmit the traffic, we does not need any special set of hardware to create the network. As I told earlier, it consists of the node may have different functionality, and based upon functionality, it can be defined as an entry node, relay node, or exit node. Entry node are those set of nodes from where our normal communication, our data from the browser will enter into the Tor network. Now, relay node are those set of nodes which will be work as a middle node, and exit node are the set of nodes from where our data will leave the Tor network and will enter into the normal network. In the case of Tor network, exit node are considered as a very special node because they have a multiple set of additional functionalities. For example, when any computer system want to become exit node, it will define which kind of set of functionalities they are going to use, like whether they will provide HTTPS services, whether they will provide file transfer services, or whether they are going to use it for email services. So they has to announce it, and at which place they can announce to announce that a computer or a laptop will be used as a exit node. He has to register himself at somewhere. The computer with public IP, this node will register himself at a directory server. The directory server will register this node as an exit node, and during the registration, it will submit their their some informations using which this node can be identified. For example, it will send their ID. ID is the identity value that will be used to identify this node. It will also submit its IP address, their bandwidth information. Bandwidth information means how much traffic it can accept and how much traffic it can forward to the another node, as well as it will also declare exit policy. All these informations are being forwarded to the directory server. So when browser downloads the entry node, exit node, and relay node, during that time itself, it also downloads the policy of each node. Since as we know that in this network we cannot trust upon any node, so browser select those set of nodes which are having a good reputation. Good reputation is defined as those nodes can be considered as a good reputation which are signed by multiple distributed directory server. Now, if the user wants to perform the communication, then different type of encryption key has been used by the Tor network. For example, if the system is a onion router, then he uses identification key and onion key. These are the cryptographic key using which encryption, signatures, and other cryptographic operation will be performed. Also, there is one more key that is called as a sort key. Sort key will be used to perform the communication between the sender and the onion router. And the another one is onion key. Onion key will be used to negotiate the key values between the routers node. Now, how this circuit is established? So, as I told, different cryptographic encryption or signatures or hash functions operations are being performed over the internet. So, in order to do this, different kind of cryptographic algorithms are being used. For example, to send encrypted message, it uses symmetric key encryption. To send, in order to exchange the key value, it uses the public key encryption. In order to announce its public ID, it uses a hash function. And in order to exchange the key value, it uses a Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm. So all these key values are being used to establish a encrypted communication and to establish a encrypted Tor network. Now, how this data is being sent? To send this data, sender creates a circuit. The overlay network is known as a circuit, which is created on the top of the TCP/IP layer protocol. The circuit is created between sender node and all the three routers. First of all, the sender, a user will create a circuit from sender node to the router 1. Then it will ask to the sender node that please extend this circuit for me till the router 2. Now, when the circuit of router 2 will completed, then sender will request that please extend this circuit till the router 3. Now, a dedicated path is established using the circuit between sender to the router 1, 2, and 3. Now, after the creation of the circuit, the responsibility of user is to prepare a lot of encrypted messages. Now, for every router, the browser prepare different encrypted messages for the transfer. Like in this diagram, the browser is preparing ciphertext C1 for router 1, ciphertext C2 for router 2, and ciphertext C3 for router 3. Now, let us see how this message is being created. Now, let us assume that I want to access a service, a website service. Here, it is important to note that the service provider is known and user wants to hide its identity. So, in order to send this request, what he does, he prepare this message known as a M, and this message consists of I want to access some website X over this port number, and I want to request a particular data. This message will be used to prepare different ciphertext for each node. First of all, if you see the diagram, there are three messages, C1, C2, and C3. So the message is prepared from the reverse side. Means first, the user will prepare ciphertext C3, then it will prepare ciphertext C2, then it will prepare ciphertext C1. So all these data are encrypted from their respective keys. Means as we know that K3 is the key value which is shared between router 3 and sender. So first of all, this message will be encrypted using the key value K3. Then this will encrypted using the key value K2, and then it will encrypted using the key value K1. So if we look at the architecture of this encryption, then you will find out that there are multiple layer of encryption, and all these you can view as a different layer of onion. Because of this different layer of encryption, this is known as a onion routers. So these values will be transferred to the sender, to the receiver. So first of all, the router 1 will receive that a ciphertext C1. Since C1 is encrypted using the key value router 1, so router 1 can easily decrypt it. After the decryption, router 1 will see that there is something that he has to forward to the circuit 2. Circuit 2, from circuit 2, the router 2 will receive a ciphertext value C2, and similarly, the router 3 will receive the ciphertext value C3. Now, when the router 3 will open this data, then he will find out that there is someone, he wants to access a particular website over port number 443. Then he can easily transfer this message to the service provider. Now, if you look at this communication, then you will find out that in the entire communication, all the traffics are encrypted. So if anyone is sitting in the middle, then they cannot identify who is the actual sender which has started this message. Now, router 3 knows that there is someone who is sending this message. Their responsibility will be just to forward this message to the service provider. Now it's depend upon the service provider whether he wants to reply back or not. If he wants to reply back, so he will reply as usual, as he does in the normal communication. He will send directly a reply R to the router 3. Now, the responsibility of router 3 is to deliver this message to the appropriate circuit. So he knows that if anything he gets a reply, it will upload to the circuit 3. Now, during the reply, he does some additional things, like before forwarding this reply to the relay node, he will again encrypt this message using the key value K3. Now, when router 2 will receive, he will again encrypt this message using the key value K2, and when router 1 will receive, he will encrypt this message using the key value K1. Now, what is the actual data the browser is receiving? Browser is receiving a reply R, which was first encrypted using the key value K3, then it was encrypted using the key value K2, and then it was encrypted the key value K1. So he will apply the reverse process. First of all, he will decrypt from K1, then K2, and then K3, and can get the original message which was earlier sent by the service provider. So using this way, the user can hide its IP address is identity over the internet and can perform an entirely anonymous communication with a service provider. Now, the important thing was here the user was hiding its identity and the service provider was working as usual. On the other side, as I talked about the dark website or anonymized website. So what is the idea behind the dark website? Can we use any services using which a service provider can hide its identity, its IP address over the internet. So all these websites which are providing anonymous services are considered as is known as a onion websites. Means their website URL will end at the with .onion. So how this network will created? Let us take a quick look at this. So whenever anyone wants to set up onion website, first of all he will select its public key and private key and will create its onion address. Now when onion address will be created, the website service provider register himself at directory server. So if and these URL are publicly means this published over different media channels. For example, this service provider announce their URL, their domain using a media channel like they uses the medium of Pastebin, Twitter, Facebook, and other social media platform to disclose, to announce their domain. Now, if any user wants to access or wants to know the IP address associated with these IP, then he directly contact to the directory server. We can see in the diagram here there is a hidden server and he wants to provide a hidden service communication. For this, first of all, he select 3 IPs. Here it has been shown using the point 1 and register himself at some directory server which is shown in the point 2. Now, if any user wants to know the IP address of this onion website, he contacted through the Tor network using the point 3 from the directory server and find out the IP address of the onion website. Now, during the request, what he does, he prepare some additional messages. What is the additional message? Some additional values, not messages, rather values. For this, he select a special node. A special node is called as RPO. This is a rendezvous point. This 15-20 minutes. 20 मिनट लगेगा. हाँ. Just wait. बैठा दीजिए 20 मिनट. Okay. Now this rendezvous point will work as a special point where this user will set up, will leave some information that will be later used by the communication. Now see this diagram. During sending of the request, this browser send its request via the path number 5. This request will go to the IPO. IPO will receive the request and will forward to the hidden server. Now, if anyone is sitting in this communication, then he will observe that someone is sending this request via the path 5. Now, whenever the hidden server receives the request, he reply back. What he does, he uses different path for the reply. So in this, he is using the path number 6 and and this reply will send back to the RPO. So anyone sitting in the middle, they cannot know whether server is really replying or not. That's why they cannot identify what is the request and response, and they cannot track the IP address of the website. Now, whenever RPO will receive the request, this request will contain the special value which was earlier set by the client node. Now, RPO will forward this request to the client. So during the structure of such communication, the hidden services are being provided. So earlier, the intention was very good. They have provided a lot of nice motivation that for these good purposes, this hidden services, this hidden communication can be established. But many of the cyber criminals, fraudulent persons uses this technology in order to perform the malicious activities. There are a lot of cyber criminal activities, crimes that are being conducted using this dark net, and everyone is getting affected from this. Either you are a government department, you are a law enforcement agencies, or you are a service provider. Everyone is getting affected from the dark net cyber threats. For examples, a lot of malware attacks, as we know that exit node work as a crucial point from where our normal traffic leave the Tor network and enter into the normal communication. So many of the attackers uses those exit node and perform the attacks like malware attacks, distributed denial of service attacks, botnet attacks. All these attacks are forwarded from exit node. Similarly, many of the attackers are uses it also for trojans based attacks, keyloggers, exploit kits, and even they are using it for espionage services and different kind of support services. For example, ransomware as a services, assassinations. So different kind of target based cyber attacks are being originated from the dark net. So it is a very worrying situation. It is a very concern situations for every organization that they can protect themselves from the attacks which are started from the dark net. One of the one of the most important attack which is originated from the dark net, and even either it is a large organization or it is a small organization, they are suffering, that is data breach. If you have noticed the last 1 year cyber threat or cyber landscape, then you will come to know that a lot of data breaches are happening. Either you are from financial sector, health sector, banking sector. So everyone is somehow suffering from the data breaches. And what is the important thing is the attacker try to steal different set of personal information and sensitive informations from these critical infrastructures, and they upload all these information over the darknet. What can be these information? This can be like our email IDs, mobile number, medical reports, healthcare data, our username, password. All these our personal informations are being stolen from the organizations, and they are being uploaded over the darknet. Now, as we know that these informations are very crucial. If you are a government department, if you are a critical infrastructure, if you are a you are from health sector, or you are from banking sector. So if once data is released and uploaded to the darknet, as we know that uh, as we know that uh, to identify these criminals is really very difficult, then our data will upload and will went to the darknet for lifetime. For example, you are storing a PAN card, and if this PAN card is steal or it taken by the attacker, then this PAN card will be breached and will go in the hand of criminals for forever. Now, it is the responsibility of each organization is to protect, to prevent their data, so that the data breach and data leaks should not happen over their network. And if you also observe that what the attackers are doing, first of all, they collect all data from your network. Then they install a ransomware, and using this ransomware, your entire system will be encrypted. Now, since you don't have any backup plan, and all the personal information has been stored on the server, and this have been encrypted. Now you have been stuck from both sides. First of all, your personal data has been attacked and went to the dark web, and another side, your server has been encrypted. In such situation, the attackers, sir, 10 minute लगेगा. Yeah. And what they do, they disclose this data over the dark net if you does not pay ransom. So there is a monetary loss also if you are not following appropriate cyber security measures in order to prevent attacks from the dark web. So what are the basic reason why such attacks can be happens? Like, there are security misconfigurations. Our network team, our security team does not configure network properly. They may provide incorrect file permissions. They may carelessly upload sensitive information over a public folder, or there can be a directly listing vulnerabilities. Because of this security misconfigurations, the data breach can happen. Or there can be some application level vulnerabilities, the software or the systems which are using that have some vulnerabilities, and attackers has attacked upon you, and data breach happens. Or users are using default credentials. It has been observed that in the data breach, many of the users are using a very weak password or default credentials. And it also have been noticed poorly configured VPN network or work from home methods may also lead to compromise of the data breach. Similarly, in many of the data breaches, some insiders were responsible for the data breaches. So these were the common cause. So what should be the organization goal is? They should prepare a proactive plan so that data breach should not happen within their organization. For example, first of all, you should have an incident response plan. I will talk more about incident response in tomorrow's lecture. And they should have a chief information security officer. And this detail of CISO detail should be shared with the other cyber security organizations like CERT-In also. So whenever data breach will notice, or whenever data breach happens, then either reactive measures or preventive measures can be followed in order to minimize the impact. Now, you also implement a different kind of cyber security best practices at either end system level, or at network level, or your cloud level, so that whenever either data is in transit or data is in rest, your personal information can be protected. If you are you are using a cloud services like Amazon, AWS, EC2 services, ensure that you are properly following best practices regarding those. If you are using some big data databases like MongoDB, Elasticsearch, then their instances, their security practices must be ensured. Also ensure that your employees, your individual users are uses best cyber security practices um, within the organizations. Since time is very less, I'm not going to going into the details of all these, how what are the things that we can include in cyber security practices. I will share my slides, and one can go through it. Similarly, if any organization notice that a data breach has happened, first of all, he should disconnect their systems from the internet, and he should not turn it off. If you off this system, then some crucial evidence can be lost. You can ensure that all the credentials in organizations are can be reset, and no one should use the default password or previous password again. You can also report this data breach to the certain on immediate basis, and you can also notify users, customers immediately whenever breach has been observed. These are the basic security practices I have included in the slide, but there are a lot of things that an organization has to do whenever a data breach is noticed. Um, uh, okay, as we know that that the growth of dark web is really very high, so no one should dependent upon others that other will handle it. It is the responsibility of organization itself that they should prepare, they should develop a plan that everyone should be aware within the organization about the dark web, the cyber threats which are possible from the dark web, and they should follow the appropriate measures to handle, to tackle with such issues. Similarly, on network level, different kind of preventive measures can be established, like within the organization. Since a lot of cyber criminal activities is going on, the organization should not allow their users to install the Tor browser. Like in government guidelines, we don't allow any users to install the Tor browsers. Also, there are different criminal activities that are being conducted from the dark net. A list I have given, like they are using for gambling purposes, to upload the porn content, to share illegal file sharings, for hacking purposes, to sell drugs, to conduct fraud, or to share some illegal unwanted messages which are regarding anti-nationals, regarding fire, rape informations, molestations. All these are bad things which are continuously being shared using the darknet. Now, the last question is whether we should use it whether we should use Tor or not. So, if you have an identity-based communication, for example, there is a Facebook and you have to log in there, then obviously this is an identity-based communication, and there is no need to use the Tor. And if you want to use for a good purposes, then it may be used. But if you want to use for bad things, as we have seen that a lot of cyber criminal activities are going on, then we should not allow to use this Tor network. Now, there is what is the difference between dark web versus VPN? VPN is mainly used for privacy purposes, while dark web is used for anonymity purposes. These are the differences. That is all from my side. Since there are some other meeting is scheduled at this place, so I'm ending this talk.